Hi guys, welcome back to the channel if you've been here before, and it's nice to see you again. So first of all, before I get on with this video, I want to say thank you so much to the guys and gals who promoted us to Airsoftology, and Jonathan, who gave us a shout out on the channel as the video of the week. I really appreciate that. It's not easy to survive in this world of YouTube to try and grow the channel, so any help is really appreciated, and that was really nice to see people enjoyed the channel and wanted to promote. And I just want to say thank you so much to our guys for giving us a shout out. That was really great. And also thank you to Jonathan of Airsoftology, who gave us the shout out and promoted the video. And it's a really nice thing to say about the channel. So if you haven't seen it, go and check the video out. I'll put a link in the description below. So today we're having a look at a gun that I am pretty excited to see. It's one of my favourite types of airsoft gun, the MP5, or types of SMG, and I've been pretty excited about this coming out ever since I heard about it being released last September. And you might say to me, ICS have had an MP5 out forever. Yes, they have, but they've updated it with their new internals that they're putting in their PDWs as well, the new Mars PDW. So without further ado, let's get this thing open and have a look and see what it's like, and also see whether it's worth the extra money over the Cyber version, which is just over here. So let's have a look. Here is the box, typical sort of ICS type box, nice black finish to it, ICS symbols on it. I don't want to talk about the box too much, but let's open this up and have a look inside. Right, let me spin this around. Now, just want to go on record and say I cannot stand this type of packaging. This plastic packaging lets the gun flop around, move around all over the place. I don't think it's very good. ICS, come on, even budget guns are coming out with decent foam packaging now. Ditch this vacuum mouldy stuff and put some proper foam in there. Right, but the stuff we really want to look at. So, we've got our instructions here. What the hell's that? Oh yeah, that's the inline fuse, just giving you some information about the selector and the fact you'll have some vibrations on there as well. This is to do with the trigger unit and the operation of the trigger unit, so I'll have a look at that afterwards. And also opens up, we've got some more, right, yeah, different languages on the inside, so yep, that's cool. And then on top of that, we've got a bit more. We've got a manual. Oh, one of my favourites. Look at that. An exploded diagram. Love it. So anyone who messes with guns, that's always nice to see. Or messes with anything really. Shows you how to load the magazine. And it shows you various bits and pieces about the working of the stock on the other version. If you guys have seen my video from earlier this year where I was talking about what guns I'd like to review or what was coming out this year, you'll see my opinions on that version of it. Yeah, for me an MP5's got to look like an MP5 and not some kind of space aged thing. So here we are. This is the MP5 A5, or the designation for ICS have called it the CES-P A5, so we don't infringe any copyrights. But as far as we're concerned, it's an MP5, and I'm not going to call it anything different. So we've got our unjamming rod there. We'll get that out the way. I'm glad there's one there, though. I do like an unjamming rod, as we know. We have got one magazine. It's got BBs in and is a high cap. It's a nice magazine. I'm not a fan of high caps, as most of you'll know, but it's a 9mm by 19, so it's got markings on there, and it feels steel to me. Nice magazine, good quality. And we've got the gun itself. So let's get this out, ditch the box, and see exactly what we've got. There it is, the MP5 A5. Now, this has got to be one of my favourite SMGs and one of my favourite guns of all time. It really is an iconic submachine gun, and I know I've got a lot of Heckler and Koch replicas. I do like the brand, but I wouldn't say I was a fanboy exactly. There's lots of different types of guns I like, but I do love the MP5. I mean, it's just classic looking, and I think that ever since, I mean, I was showing my age here, I was a very small child, and me watching the news, my dad showing me the SAS guys storming the Iranian embassy, and I actually remember watching it on the news. And yeah, this gun was iconic it was really, at that point, everyone saw the MP5 and the SAS, and it was just thrown all over the front of the tabloids and the news. And it's never really gone back since. It's always been that iconic gun. And ICS have been making these for a while. The MP5 is certainly not a new replica to ICS, but this one is updated. They have done some work on it, and I don't think they've really pushed it, to be honest. They've pushed their Mars and new PDWs, and their new trigger system and everything in those, but they've not really shouted about these MP5s that much. Now, they have made some significant changes to them, and these changes they have made are not just internal, but external as well. So we've gone away from the aluminium receivers and we've now got steel receivers. You'll see from my magnets, proper steel receivers. Now, it's nice to see some soft manufacturers starting to make guns with proper steel bodies that are, you know, realistic to the real firearm. And there's not lots of them around, usually AKs, and now the odd MP5. SRC did it many years ago, made a complete bodge of it. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's nice to see this material coming in and being used on new modern replicas with good internals. And this is really interesting to see. So we've got a steel receiver, even our fake bolt is steel, and these aren't steel, but the selectors are aluminium, so they've gone away from the plastic selectors. So it's nice to see that, really quality materials. On top of this, we've got the metal trigger. We've got stock, which is really solid. There's not much in the way of wobble on it. It's nice. You know, you're always going to get a little bit of wobble on these type of stocks. I noticed there is a little bit of movement in this back piece here that attaches the stock to the receiver. I'm sure we could do something about that, but it's worth noting because obviously you have got a sling mount on there. So at the moment, I wouldn't recommend hanging this off that, but I'm sure we can make it a little bit stiffer, a little bit more solid to put a sling on there. We've got nice quality pins in the body holding it all together, and at the front we've got our PATRON charging handle. And because this is all steel and this is really solid, it's a strong spring, but because it is what it is, we can give it an HK slap and it won't hurt it. So yeah, all good. We've got, you may notice if you're eagle-eyed, we've got an extra selector on there to normal. So usually reserved for gas blowback guns, you'll see that we've got a 3-round burst option. So we've got safety, single, 3-round and full auto. So again, it gives you an idea of what's going on inside, and we've got some kind of electronic trigger unit. So far, so good, looking really nice. Now, one thing I will notice about this that is a little unusual is the barrel on the end. One good thing, it hasn't got that silly flash hider on, but it also hasn't got the threaded end for a suppressor. Now, it doesn't bother me because I never put the threaded suppressor on, but it is worth noting that if you're expecting one, it's not on there. So, another thing to look at, we have got a really nice textured foregrip, and it feels really nice in the hand. And that is actually really, really grippy, and it's nice quality as well. All the polymer parts on this is really nice quality, and you can see from the pistol grip as well, really very well made. And like I say, you got the metal selector as well, and we've also got nicely engraved and painted fire selectors as well, as my dog has just climbed on the table off the chair. Odie, perhaps he likes MP5s as well. Now, while we talk about the fire selectors, one thing I'll say is it's not the most pronounced click. In fact, it's not a pronounced click. So, but that, I find that with a lot of these MP5s, the assignment is much the same, and a couple that I've had in the past have been the same. But with all of these MP5s, if you actually press down on the selector, it becomes a bit better. Yeah, it's not the most positive thing, but you can get by, you do get used to it. Now, being the collapsible stock and the A5 version, the battery lives at the front here. So if we push this pin out, pull this down, this is where our battery lives. And you can see we've got a mini Tamiya and our fuse. I will be changing this out before we even test it, because the battery, the 7.4 I've got, won't fit inside the foregrip, inside the actual handguard, so I'll probably stick Dean's on there straight away. So let's look inside the magwell, and you'll see the two cables running into the front, the battery connection, you see the gearbox, and you'll see a metal hop-up chamber. So again, it's nice to see that we've got a metal hop-up chamber in there. And if we open this up and look inside, you'll see our adjustment. Now, this is nothing new, this is typical of MP5. So they all have a sliding piece inside there, and the Simon one is exactly the same. In fact, I'll show you that now. So this is the Simon, and if we open this up, you'll see it has exactly the same style, not exactly the same hop up, but it has the same style of sliding adjuster in there, which you can push forwards and backwards to adjust. So although the Simon one slid backwards and forwards, this has got increments. So it actually has a click going backwards and forwards. And that's really nice, because these can sometimes adjust themselves. If they're loose, they can move backwards and forwards, and you sometimes have to just modify them slightly to try and stop them. This one you won't have to, because it's actually got little increments on there, and it's a slightly better setup, better quality setup, I'd say, from what I can see. And you can see the metal hop-up chamber inside there, but until we've got it apart, we can't really say much else about it. Apparently it has got an H nub in there though, to try and help with accuracy, so we'll check that out later and see how we get on. Now, I've had a few A5 stocks that don't have positions on them, but this one actually does. So if we push this forwards now, we've got one position there, and then we can fold it all in, and a nice click, it holds it in nice and secure. And we've got a rubberized, have we? No, it's plastic butt pad, not a rubberized butt pad, which is a shame. It would have been nice to have a rubberized one, but it's still pretty nice. Nothing wrong with it there. So we haven't really got trades on this as such, but there is a few markings on there. So we've got the 6mm BB. The SSV2 is the trigger unit inside, the electronic trigger unit, and it just says airsoft electric gun. Well, you can see, can't you? And it's got a serial number as well. And we've got a CE marking as well. We don't want to look at that. Okay, so pretty much like with every single MP5 A5 variant, you literally take the pin out of the front here, and this slides down, handguard comes off, and that is your battery storage. And like pretty much every MP5 A5 variant, you are very limited on battery space. Battery space in these is at a premium, so you have to think carefully about what you want to put in there, or what you can get in there. Now you'll notice I've already wired this to Dean's, because I can't stand the mini Tamiya and I want to put a decent battery in it. So I've got two batteries to try. We've got a 1600 milliamp 20C 7.4 volt, and we've got a 1450 milliamp 25, is it 25? No, 30C, beg your pardon, 11.1. So let's have a look what this is like. Now this has, like I say, got an electronic trigger unit, and it's also got the 3-round burst. So with the 7.4 in, let's try it out. So from safety, single shot. And there you go, you see that then. So what happened was we had first couple of shots, and then the precock kicked in. So now we've got precock, and look how short the trigger pull is. If I bring that up to the camera, let you guys see it properly. That is pretty cool. So yeah, I like that. That is really snappy. So let's try it with the 11.1. Actually, let's try the full auto first. So we'll do the 3-round burst and full auto. Okay. So that's the 7.4. It's a little bit whiny, but nothing too horrendous. Nothing you couldn't fix. So let's put the 11.1 in. We'll do the same again. So single fire. Yeah, it's really good. 3-round burst. And full auto. Yeah, for me the 11.1 is the battery to use. 100%. It's way, not even so much the single fire. It's slightly better on the single fire, but it's really good on the full auto. Now another little thing this gun has got is a way of decocking it, because obviously if you've got pre-cock on the gun, it means the spring is going to remain compressed, and if it's compressed, it's going to damage the spring eventually because it's going to be pressed in all the time. So what we've got is in the side here, which is going to be really difficult for you to see, is a little catch in there, and what you do is you put a screwdriver or something in and you can click it and it just releases the spring. Now it's not actually in the window at the moment, I can see. No, I can't see it at the moment, so it doesn't need decock. It means it is already decocked, but it's a nice little touch, that is. I like that. And then obviously we've seen where we do our hop up already. So yeah, now the one thing I'll say is, like I say, battery space is pretty tight, and the one thing that is a pain in the backside is this fuse, because it takes up a huge amount of space inside the stuff, inside the grip, so it does reduce some of your battery space. You can fit this 11.1 in, but it is really difficult, mostly because of the wires rather than anything else, but I'm sure I'll be able to find something that will go in. These will go in at a push, not even this particular light's going in. Putting in a 2-cell 7.4 volt battery in this is a waste. This needs to run on 11.1 really, so we'll have to have a hunt around and see what we can find that actually fits into the handguard. Using 0.2s, and this is the 11.1 battery in. .312, 310, 2, oh that's a misfire I think. 304, 305, 309, 309, 305, 306, and we've got a low battery. Hey guys, so this is our target that we used, and you can see we've got a bit of a grouping going on here, and then we've got a bit of a not flyers but more of a wider grouping here with a couple of flies knocking around. Now on first reflection that doesn't look great, but when you consider that the majority of the BBs are in this area, it's at 20 meters using iron sights, using 0.28 BBs on a really windy day, and to be honest, that's a lot better than I expected. I thought it would be a lot worse than that, simply because of the conditions. And you can see we are getting them in bunches, which means, you know, using iron sights it's pretty tricky, so we are getting them bunched together. So it's not like I set it up or anything. That was a reasonable result, and I think on a calm day or an indoor environment where you've not got any wind blowing and your hop's bedded in, I reckon that would probably get quite a lot better. It's pretty impressive for a standard gun. Right.
Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.
Okay, so we've opened up the gearbox and this thing's built really well. It's been put together brilliantly. It's shimmed pretty much spot on. I mean, you could, you know, perhaps put very fine shim in here just to lift the gears, separate them slightly, but it's marginal, really is. No, actually I think it's been put together perfectly. The greasing is perfect, it's in all the right places, not too much, not too little. This is a really nice build so far, so good. Decent quality gears. That's your electronic trigger unit underneath there. I don't particularly want to take it all apart, there's no real reason, it's just micro switches and your trigger blade. So it looks a fairly standard MP5 trigger, although it is a metal one rather than a plastic one like they usually are. That's your safety there, and yeah, really nice build, very proprietary, not the typical kind of version 2 gearbox you get in MP5s. Obviously this is a split gearbox, but it's put together really nicely. Most of the parts, having said that, when I say about it being proprietary, obviously these gears are all pretty standard fare. They're not proprietary gears, I don't think. I think they'll be interchangeable with most version 2 gearboxes. So yeah, really well put together. Okay, so I have got the 11.1 in here right now. I've managed to get it to fit into the front foregrip amazingly. So that is a tri-cell nunchuck style 11.1 volts LiPo battery, the 1450 milliamps I showed you earlier. Prove it's in there. It is in there, and it's snug, but it does fit. It took a while to work it out and a couple of tie ups to manage the actual cables for the gun, but we got it in there. So what do we think of the ICS MP5 A5? Nice steel solid externals. The externals on this thing are actually solid. I'm not something over. The actual body of this is really nice textured foregrip, nice textured pistol grip and lower. Yeah, there was something falling over. This thing is really nicely made on the outside. Then you open it up and you get the split gearbox. And not only is the gearbox really nice and well made, the aluminium of the actual gearbox body is excellent, and you can tell, because you can always tell when you start to polish them up, is the actual gearbox doesn't have any like casting lines or anything, and it comes up really nicely, and it has on this. Simply because while ago I polished the rails, and it is absolutely excellent quality. And not just that, it's, you know, the piston's good quality, the piston head's good quality, the cylinder head's not so great, the cylinder is perfectly usable. In fact, yeah, the cylinder heads, you know, compared to the rest of it, the cylinder heads are let down because it is a bit nasty, but you know, we can get over that. It's a £10 part, if that, for a good aftermarket one. And that leaves us with the gear set. The gear set are great quality, nothing wrong at all with them. All the gear internals, brilliant. The micro switch trigger unit, right, so It is like an inbuilt MOSFET, like a little trigger. It's not like a microswitch trigger unit like you'd get with something like inside the Actorus. It's a switch, nothing else. This is like a programmable trigger unit more than a microswitch trigger unit, and that's why it's able to give you the 3-round burst. It actually works really well. It's got a very short stroke to it. It's very positive, really nice feeling trigger. It's an excellent unit. It is. It's really up there. It reminds me of like a slightly souped up version of the old Jeftron triggers you used to get years ago with the micro switch. But this is obviously a more souped up version of it than the old Jeftron ones, because you've got more options with it, and it looks just a beefier unit. What else is in there? You've got it's just really well put together. The actual gearbox shimming, I put one very, very fine shim in there just for my own sort of particular sense of wanting to have it nicely shimmed, but honestly it doesn't need it. The shimming was done really, really well on it. There were no problems at all, and the gearbox itself was really well put together. The motor feels pretty reasonably high torque. I wouldn't say it's not a high torque motor as such, but it looks good quality. If you're going to upgrade, you have to be careful. It seems to me to be a slimline motor, one of the newer types, so it would be interesting to find more out about that, because I haven't really looked into it. But yeah, it's still good quality ICS motor, and although I'm really impressed with this straight out of the box, it's great. It's got I think it was a 609 inner barrel that I measured it at. The hop unit is excellent. It is the best quality hop unit I've seen on an MP5. It's nice aluminium hop unit, but not just that. The way the barrel's secured is excellent. It's sort of bolted together, really nicely put together hop unit. And it proves with the shooting test, it shoots really straight. You can see the BBs, they're not veering off left and right. They are going pretty straight wherever you're pointing it. It fires really, really nicely. That precock's great. Honestly, I'm singing its praises. I really like this gun. So down to the drawbacks with it though. One is the magazine compatibility. Now, it is an issue with the ICS MP5s not liking other magazines. It's not so much they don't even like them, they don't fit. Now, the beauty of this, you can sort it out. I've got a Simon mag in it right now, and it fits absolutely lovely. Slots in, doesn't fall out, no wobble at all. It's just solid, really well made, really nicely fitted. But you have got to modify that magazine catch slightly. It is an easy, I say easy, it's a relatively easy thing to do. But you will need a Dremel. You could file it, but it's going to be a bit fiddly. It is doable, but to do a really good job of it, you need a Dremel. Or I actually did it on my milling machine. It took about 3 seconds, but you know, not many people have got access to that kind of stuff. Dremel will do it, but you've got to go at it slowly. Take a little bit. If you rush it, you'll cock it up and you'll kill your magazine release. But it is, once you've done it, it's so good. And you can still use your original ICS magazines as well. This is the original one, and they still fit in. That's quite, no, it's still as tight as it was before. So bizarrely, it still works fine. So yeah, I definitely recommend that, because you know, Simon mags are £6, guys. You know what I mean? That's why when I buy MP5 mags, I buy like 4 or 5 at a time, because why wouldn't you? Everything else, brilliant. Got your HK slap. Yeah, absolutely love it. You can't fit your suppressors. If you want something that's going to be modular and you can customize, this isn't going to be the gun for you, because you're not going to be able to fit suppressors on the end. I don't know if ICS makes their own particular suppressor. I've not heard anything about it. I don't think it would work, to be honest. I don't think it'd fit on. This gun is not going to be sporting suppressors anytime soon, unless you make some modifications to it. Stock is absolutely fine, no problems at all. Very little wobble, considering it's an extendable stock. Really nicely built. You can put claw mounts on here. The claw mounts will fit on, so you can fit an optic. I've got a claw mount on my Cymer as well, but that's a tall one. I'm probably going to put a low profile one on here, so I can just have a little red dot or something on it. And then you've got the issue of flashlights. Now, I don't know whether you'll be able to get, I was looking at fitting a real steel flashlight handguard to this for when I play in dark environments. I don't know if it'll fit, It's a bit of a risk, but we might try and get hold of one and put it on there, see what it's like. Because the one thing is with these is if you're in a dark environment, which often can be the case with CQB, you sometimes need a flashlight. So that can be one thing that's pretty tricky, but that's all A5s. That's not the ICS. That's every A5. That's not by any means this, and some, you know, the A4 as well if you've got the full stock. So yeah, that's no criticism of this gun at all. That's just one of those things. You have got your sling mounts here and here. I put a little bit of tape over the top there just to stiffen this up a bit, and it's worked a treat. The wobble was like a fraction of a millimetre, so it didn't even warrant Velcro or anything. I just put a tiny bit of tape across the top of the receiver, and this is nice and solid now, and you can run either a single point or a 3-point sling or a 2-point sling, whatever you want to do. The sights are great quality. I love them. Honestly, I can't sing its praise enough. But is it worth basically 2 of the Simon? So this costs £349. So it's not the cheapest of AGs. The Cymer cost £140. Now, you will have to add postage to that, as with this, unless you get free postage, which I did with this on this occasion. But you've got to decide whether that is a good option for you. Is this a match for this in its current state, straight out of the box? Not even close. No, not even close. The outer of this is still really nice. It is aluminium, it's not steel. The actual markings on the outside of the receiver are painted on. They're not engraved like they are on here. And generally the build of this isn't as good, but I'm not knocking it. I really like this gun. This is a fantastic gun. It's a very simple version 2 gearbox that can be upgraded easily, but you don't have your 3-round burst. It's not a snappy, you don't have any pre-cock. It is a very basic gearbox in comparison to that one. They are a different league. The question is whether you want to pay £140 or £349. To get this doing the same kind of things, you've got to spend more money out. So you're looking at changing internals, putting in something like a programmable MOSFET to allow you to get the 3-round burst, and you'll never quite get the externals the same. So then suddenly when you start to add that all up, you're getting close to the price of this thing, which has already met all those, along with the steel body as well. So this actually, although on the surface it sometimes seems a little bit expensive, it's actually not that bad a price because it does a lot for its money. And honestly, I mean, I love my Cymer MP5, I'm not knocking that, and that's going to be a brilliant little project gun. I'm really looking forward to doing some more work with it. But this thing is good value for money. I really, the more I mess with this, the more I play around with it, the more I like it. And if you're after an classic MP5 loadout, bit of Operation Nimrod style loadout, then this is the gun for you. And even if you're after something light and high speed that you can use, and fancy a sort of a change from the trend of modern style PDWs, I want to get something more classic, this is the one. It really is nice, and the more I mess with it, the more I hold it, the more I like it, the more I want to mess with it, and the more I want to play with it. So, cheap mags, and you're set to go. You haven't got to do a damn thing to this out of the box. Take it out of the box, go and play airsoft. And there's not many guns I do that to. I upgrade and modify everything. So for me to say that about this gun, don't bother messing with it, just go and play with it. Even I haven't even put a tight ball barrel in it, or a maple leaf or TNT set up in there. I haven't touched it. I'm just going to use it as it is because it's just so good. And you don't hear me say that about many guns, and I'm certainly not paid to say it. So yeah, look out for that one, guys. So coming up soon, I'm still waiting for my AA01 Assassin, the new pistol from Action Army. I did pre-order it, but it seems I've been put back onto the second set of second waiting list, so I'm going to have to wait until the end of July, I think it is. So great, thanks for that. So much for pre-ordering. So yeah, that's it. That is the ICS CES-P A5, or to any human out there, MP5 A5 from Heckler & Koch, or ICS. And yep, absolutely bang on. That will go in my recommend pile. So guys, thanks for watching. You're keeping the channel going. It's the responses I've been getting and the kind comments are fantastic. I really appreciate that. This channel is a bit of a family effort. It's myself and my girlfriend and the dogs, obviously, and we really love the support you give us. So thank you very much for that. Keep watching. We've got more content coming up soon, and thanks. See you again soon. Bye bye.